Now, I myself was homeschooled, and while I realize that it's not ideal for everyone or even really possible for everyone, I do believe that it is the most effective, really the ideal way to raise and teach children in both the 21st century and really just the human race in general. My reasoning for this, at least my first reason, is primarily biological. Children are born with an innate desire to learn. This is necessary because humans are cognitive beings, it's our main strength. But we also start with absolutely nothing. We're a blank slate. We have very simplistic instincts that are not enough to survive in the greater world as a whole. This means that in usually less than 20 years, but let's say a 20-year window, humans have to learn everything necessary, all of the knowledge, all of the skills, to function in whatever particular society and whatever particular version of the world they've been born into. This means that they have to learn, especially in those first formative years, a huge amount of information, but they're designed to do it. So this works, their desire at least works, in a very simple way. Kids want to learn things which make their parents happy. Children want to get satisfaction from parental figures. The way they do this is by doing something that the parent wants them to know or do, such as, say, in a more hunter-gatherer situation, hunting. The parent teaches the child how to hunt. The child tries to learn because they see that it makes the parent happy and makes the parent basically happy with the child. They try to learn, they get good at it. They want to have even more satisfaction from their parental figure, so they get even better at it, and they keep working because it's something that immediately gratifies them on an instinctual level. The problem with this is that it works incredibly well when there's a mentor who is ahead of a child in development, teaching them, but it's completely opposite to the way that the standardized school system works. In a standardized test, the teacher, who's this person who it's unlikely that the students actually look up to or see as someone they want to impress or gain the satisfaction of, who tells them a bunch of information that is not relevant to them, and if they don't learn it, it will, from their perspective, not create that much. No one that they actually care about will care. Then they're tested on it, and when they don't do incredibly well, they don't care because they don't really care what the teacher says. What they do care about is what all of their peers say. And that brings me to what I'd probably say is my second point. Children, or school children, tend to model themselves after peers rather than parents. This is kind of a problem and also not surprising considering how much time they spend with one versus the other. Because peers are at the exact same developmental stage as they are. So if they try to model themselves after peers and try to please their peers, they're modeling themselves sideways. They're basically not striving for anything at all. So they don't strive to learn anything, they don't strive to improve. Instead of trying to mimic someone who's ahead of them developmentally, they mimic someone who's to the side of them and don't move forward. This completely stunts the desire to improve yourself and to learn how to function in the world because what you're being taught doesn't have any incentive for you. As opposed to if you're homeschooled, you want to learn and do well because the person who cares if you do that is your parent. And you actually care about them because they're your family. And they're also someone who wants the long-term best for you and is able to translate it into a short-term psychology. That's pretty much what children live in. Now, my third point is less of a singular point and more addressing a bunch of concerns that people tend to bring to me, or they less present them to me as asking me if I'm a dysfunctional human being because of them. The first of these is the concept that the parent has to know everything and be an expert on everything that they are teaching the child, which very few parents will be, since very few parents are licensed teachers in every single subject. This is a complete misconception. You don't actually need the parent in homeschooling to know and be teaching and lecturing the child. What you do need is the child to be able to acquire information and given a way to learn, and know that learning and gaining that information and understanding it will make the parent happy. That means that you can be given a textbook, you can be given a learning program, which there are hundreds of thousands of those, all of which can be specialized depending on which one you choose, the skills and developmental level of the individual. And the child will learn of their own volition. They will try to improve themselves, not because it's improving themselves, they're still too young to understand the long-term ramifications of that, but because they know it makes their parent happy, and that gives them happiness. And the second major problem, or concern that people present to me, is they wonder if it will make me, or others, a complete social outcast. This is also completely illogical and has nothing to do with the realities of homeschooling. And I know that most homeschoolers, was part of a homeschool group, had multiple arranged activities that my parents made with other homeschoolers throughout my entire childhood, and actually was likely set up to be more socially functional because I didn't have to only stay with people in my exact age range, so I didn't see a lot of relevance of only having friends that were the exact same age as me. And I wasn't dependent on any one peer group. If I liked a person or a group of people, then we'd continue seeing or interacting with them. If I didn't, I could go somewhere else. I wasn't pressured to be anything. And I know, both from online research and from the experiences of what I've seen in other people, that really removes the need to conform to any one group or culture, because you're not restricted to them. Now, I realize that not everyone can pull off homeschooling. It requires a certain amount of financial stability, a certain amount of spare time for at least one of the parents to stay with the children. But I hope that if it ever comes to a point in your life when you're presented with whether or not to send your kids to school, you'll at least consider my points and consider whether homeschooling's right for you. Because from what I've observed, at least in the child's perspective, it's always the right decision.